2022 general election is going to be a very interesting general election in this country. Because for the first time in the history of this country, Mount Kenya region is going to go into this particular election without a serious presidential candidate on the table. I'm not ruling out the possibility of someone emerging from the larger Mount Kenya region as a presidential candidate. But it's only 2 years to the next general election. And so far, nobody has actually emerged from the larger Mount Kenya region. But what are some of the important narratives which are going to drive the 2022 general election? Because we all know that in 2007, the narrative was about change. That's what Raila Odinga used and rallied the entire country. He wanted to change. And also to some extent, we had the 41 versus 1 narrative, and it picked up well. In 2013, the narrative was about ICC. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Samoei Ruto united and rallied their supporters about the ICC. And again, they had this narrative about the transition. They had also this idea of generational change. And in that generational change, they came up with a magic, the laptops for schools. And it also picked up. In fact, if you had a kid by that time, they would always encourage you to vote for Uhuru and Ruto because of the laptops. So they were creating a digital gap between the old generation and their team. What about 2022 general election? In my view, these are some of the narratives which are going to drive the 2022 general election. The first one is the narrative about the hustlers and the dynasties. We all know that in this country, we've produced 4 presidents. The first president was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Then we had Mzee Moi. Then we had Mzee Kibaki. And then finally, we had President Uhuru Kenyatta. Of all these presidents, all of them, from Kenyatta, Mzee Kenyatta, from Moi to Kibaki, all these guys were actually hustlers. They didn't have their fathers. You couldn't put a face to the name of the father of Mzee Moi, to the name of the father to Mzee Kibaki, or even Mzee Kenyatta. But Uhuru Kenyatta was elected. And Uhuru Kenyatta then became the first prince. You could easily call him a dynasty because he was generally inheriting a seat which the father had actually sat on. So he became the first dynasty president. And today, there are several presidential candidates who have declared their interest to contest. There is Gideon Moi. Gideon Moi is a son to former president. So he qualifies to be a dynasty. Then there is Musalia Mudavadi. Musalia Mudavadi is a son to Moses Mudavadi. So he can qualify to some extent as a dynasty. Then there is Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is a son to the former first vice president of the Republic of Kenya. He qualifies to be a dynasty. Although many people have always argued that Raila Odinga does not qualify in that category because the father was kicked out only 3 years. 3 years after he was appointed. Remember, Ruto has served as a vice president for how many years? Almost 10 years now. And that Mzee Jaramogi and later on Raila Odinga lived their life fighting the system. So most people argue that they don't qualify in that category. But the fact of the matter is, Raila Odinga is the son to Jaramogi Oginga, who is the first vice president of the Republic of Kenya. So he qualifies in that category. So William Ruto, of all these presidential candidates, I'm talking of the top ones, is the only one who is not a dynasty. Because you can't put a name, a face to the name of William Ruto's father. And of course, some people have argued that where was William Ruto's father when the rest of these other guys were fighting for the independence and for change of this country. But those are not issues which we can canvass here. But the fact of the matter is, because William Ruto is the only candidate whose father is not known, he's crafting a narrative about the dynasties and the hustler nation. So which wing is going to succeed? Is the hustler narrative going to carry the day? Or is the dynasties going to carry the day? The question which Kenyans should ask themselves is, William Ruto, as a politician, has been, he was elected in 1997, for example. Raila Odinga was elected in 1992, yes, for the first time. William Ruto joined the government immediately. For example, Musalia Mudavadi was elected in 1989, I think so. Gideon Moi, when was Gideon Moi first elected? When the father retired, I think in 2002, 2007. Yeah, so basically, William Ruto Mudavadi has stayed in government more than all these other leaders. Then followed by William Ruto, then Raila Odinga, then now Gideon Moi. But this narrative is going to determine the outcome of the next general election. And I saw someone was asking that Ruto cannot talk about dynasties because in his entire political life, he's never supported someone who is not a dynasty. They are saying Ruto supported Mzee Moi, he supported Uhuru, who is a dynasty. Even when Uhuru was contesting against Kibaki, who was not a dynasty, he then supported Raila Odinga, again a dynasty. But this narrative is going to determine or to shape the 2022 general election. The second narrative, which is going to shape the election, is the state of economy. Jubilee failures or Jubilee success. How do you rate Jubilee government? Because Uhuru Kenyatta is retiring, William Ruto is hoping that Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support him. Raila Odinga is hoping that Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support him. Gideon Moi is hoping that Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support him. Musalia Mudavadi is sitting pretty that Uhuru Kenyatta is likely to support him as a compromise candidate. But what about the state of economy? Before Jubilee government came into power, President Uhuru Kenyatta had actually managed to fix the economy. When Jubilee government came into power between 2013 and 2017, they convinced the entire country that they'd done a lot. And they created a portal, which ODM by that time dismantled as portal of lies. So in that portal, they indicated they listed all the projects which Jubilee government had undertaken. And most of those projects were actually ghost projects. And that's the problem Uhuru Kenyatta is facing up to now. Most of those projects were actually ghost projects. Remember the stadiums and everything. And today, Kenyans have realized that Jubilee government actually failed. And because Jubilee government has failed, Uhuru Kenyatta is finding it difficult to influence or to dictate the succession politics. But all these other presidential candidates are trying to hang on his court. So are Kenyans going to support Raila Odinga because Uhuru Kenyatta is going to support him? Because Uhuru Kenyatta succeeded? Or are they going to support William Ruto because he's disagreed with Uhuru Kenyatta? And I've seen several people asking that if William Ruto is the solution to the problems facing Kenyans, then why couldn't he tell Uhuru Kenyatta when he was his deputy and still very powerful? Musalia Mudavadi. Can Musalia Mudavadi fix it? So the state of economy is going to play a key role. Number 3 is this issue of we call the inclusivity. Most people would call it the Building Bridges Initiative. I call it the inclusivity, where we are going to have the president, the prime minister, we have the deputy president, maybe 2 deputy prime ministers. We call it the Building Bridges Initiative or the inclusivity. Why is it going to be a factor? In this country since independence, only 2 tribes have led the country. Only 2 tribes. Kikuyus and the Kalenjins. And Kenyans are already talking that Kenya is not for 2 tribes. Now, I just want to be blunt a bit, sorry. Kenyans are already talking that the country cannot be led by only 2 tribes. So if we were to go to that, by that, then it means Gideon Moi is out of equation. It also means that William Ruto is out of equation. And it also means that Kikuyus are going to be out of equation. So who is left? Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Raila Odinga. And assuming those are the people who are going to be chosen for the presidency and deputy president, are they going to be, is it going to be inclusivity? Is there going to be inclusivity? I don't think so. So the reason why BBI is recommending inclusivity is because of the talk that Kenyans are tired by being led by 2 tribes. So in their thinking, Uhuru Kenyatta believes that talk, because Uhuru Kenyatta has intelligence report more than you do, more than I do. He knows that Kenyans are tired with the presidency revolving around two tribes for 60 years. So it's not crafting a strategy of including, making these other tribes to be at least at ease, so that we have a prime minister somewhere, and that prime minister coming from coast. We have a president somewhere, and that president coming from western. Then probably you have a deputy president, say, coming from a Somali, and maybe now another deputy president, deputy prime minister coming from from central, and another one from, say, Rift Valley. So that at the end of the day, the rest of the country will feel part of the government. Because as things stand today, the reality is Kenyans feel that the country is not ready for another Kalenjin presidency, for another Kikuyu presidency. That there is need to change that. It's something which is outside there, unless you don't come from the tribes. Number 4, the other thing which is going to drive the other narrative is about the electoral integrity. Will Kenyans wake up, go to the polls, cast their vote, and that vote going to count? Or are we still going to have a situation where you go to the poll very early in the morning, you cast your vote, IBC spends billions and billions of taxpayers' money, then at the end of the day, those votes don't count? Are we still going to have that? So basically, this is where the system comes in. If you followed Raila Odinga's politics, from my perspective, Raila Odinga has changed his strategy. Raila Odinga believes, in my view, that he has tried everything to ensure that electoral integrity is achieved. But so far, 0 results. So in my view, he's now banking on the system. William Ruto has been part of the system. So he understands that for you to become the president of the Republic of Kenya, election and your votes really don't matter. You just need to create a perception. He understands that. And so, he's been part of the system. So he's been observing what's happening in the system. And the deputy president is convinced that there are attempts to block him. So the deputy president has been also trying to ensure that he's on top of everything. So generally, the system is going to determine, it's going to be a narrative as we move forward. The people supporting Raila Odinga will turn out more if they believe that Raila Odinga is going to be supported by the system. But their turnout will not be high if, for example, Uhuru Kenyatta will not endorse him. If Uhuru Kenyatta is not going to endorse Raila Odinga, rest assured, and I'm telling you in broad daylight, his supporters, many of them, will not wake up to go and vote. But should Uhuru Kenyatta, whether Uhuru has influence or not, should Uhuru Kenyatta just decide one day to pronounce himself that personally I'm going to support Raila Odinga for the presidency, Raila Odinga supporters will turn up like nothing else to vote for him. So the system, what we call electoral integrity, is going to influence that. And that's why I've been asking myself, electoral justice, why is Raila Odinga not fighting for it? And just like I've explained, Raila Odinga has realized that with all those systems in place, with all those systems, elections don't matter in this country. He just needs a system and a perception that he has the support. Number 5 is corruption. The war on corruption is going to play another important role. The question is, who is more corrupt in this country than the other? If you come to Raila Odinga's side, is Raila Odinga clean? You go to William Ruto's side, is William Ruto's clean? And of late, you've witnessed one thing. There's been attempt by William Ruto's side to paint Uhuru Kenyatta's side as being corrupt. That's why scandals after scandals are being unearthed in this country. And one thing basically I love about, for example, the handshake, it has exposed the hypocrisy in this country. We are talking of the KEMSA 4 billion tender, which was stolen. Assuming Raila Odinga was outside, was not in a handshake with Uhuru Kenyatta, and the same tender happened, I'm sure if Raila Odinga had called for a press conference and exposed that tender, that corrupt deal, I am sure Tim Tanga who would be with Uhuru Kenyatta would have called another press conference. And the deputy president would have actually called Raila Molo names and defended the government. So corruption is going to play a key role. And for example, when Uhuru Kenyatta began the war on corruption, it was targeting one man. It was targeting one Ruto and his allies. You can go and check everybody who has been kicked out of government. Almost 90% of them are allies of the deputy president, William Samoei Ruto. The motive was very clear, to stop them, especially those who are in lucrative government institutions, to stop them from corruptly acquiring money for the campaigns. But the other motive was to paint William Samoei Ruto as one of the most corrupt individuals in this country, who is not fit to hold any office. And the deputy president knew this, and at some point he was very clear, and he started confronting all these allegations freely. So the war on corruption, is going to be another driving agenda. And lastly, is devolution. Is devolution working in your county? I want to ask the people coming from Nyanza, is devolution working in your county? If you come from Kisumu, you come from Kisii, you come from Nyamira, you come from Homa Bay, you come from Siaya, is devolution working in your county? Those counties, I've mentioned them because they are actually controlled by ODM governors. And is there a chance that they've performed? And if they have not performed, do you think ODM party can impose a candidate in the next general election to become your next governor? And if your answer is no, they can't impose someone, then you understand that devolution is going to play a key role. You go to coastal region. Is devolution working? If devolution is working in Mombasa and you're pleased with the performance of Governor Joho, would you then agree to support a candidate he's going to propose? Those are questions. You go to other counties. So devolution is actually going to play a key role, because the second-term governors, most of them are also going to play a key role in the next general election. Someone like Oparanya is going to play a key role. Someone like Mwangi wa Iria is going to be a factor, because I'm sure Mwangi wa Iria is likely to be a presidential candidate from Mount Kenya region. So he's likely to convince the people of that region to support him. But it will only be based on his performance as a governor. So those are some of the 6 important narratives driving the 2022 general election. I don't know what you think, but that's my take. And if you're watching this video for the first time, please don't waste your time. I want to advise you. I want to give you a free advice. If you're watching this video for the first time, just take a second, click subscribe button, and click notification, so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube is going to automatically notify you. So just click subscribe button, and then remember to check the subscribe button. And to the subscribers, I want to continue. Thank you for your support. I know most of you guys are claiming, oh, Lee, the ads are too much. I normally put, you can put the ads in the video through 2 ways, manually and automatic. When I put them automatic, then I find Google putting them even within the first 6 minutes. I even have the one at several of them. But personally, I decided to put them every 3 minutes. If you listen to my video for 3 minutes, then you bump on an ad. Please just take a second and just watch it. Then proceed. Again, you meet another one after 3 minutes. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, because they are not, I'm not mean enough to put them after every 1 minute or every 2 minutes. I try to space them at least 3 minutes, but sometimes more than 3 minutes. Because if I have a 10 minutes video, that will only be 3 ads. So that's the other way of you supporting the channel. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day. The rest, mfanye vile wote tunafanya. Kushare, thumbs up, and commenting. Bye-bye.